you smell what The Rock is cooking? The Rock says, The Rock says, The Rock says, The Rock. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. You got your rules and your religion, all designed to keep you safe. But when rules start getting broken, you start questioning your faith. I have a voice that is my savior, hates to love and loves to hate. I have a voice that has the knowledge and the power to your fate. I hear voices crying, I see heroes dying, I taste blood that's trying, I feel tension rising, I hear voices in my head.
Hello and welcome to a combined NXT and WWE Wrestling Talk show where we select Jones and
Sean Penny Smith. Let's bring you our first part of our combined show with our reactions to NXT Stand and Deliver, which happened on April 2nd of this year at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas.
this was the first NXT show to take place outside of Florida and the combinations of Florida University over Performance Center since NXT TakeOver Portland in February 2020.
For the start of the in March 2020.
In grand total, we had 7 matches, one of which took place on the pre-show, / kickoff show, and that was the team of Toxic Attraction
Of Gigi Dolan and JC Jane
defending the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships against the newly reformed team of Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai.
This match was around 7 minutes in length.
Closer to 8, but typical tag team kind of match.
Yes.
That ultimately ended with just a little bit of outside interference
From Wendy Shue,
who decided it was going to be a good idea to what did she do? Spray something?
something like that, in the face of one of the Toxic Attraction members.
Allowing the other one to be caught in the Gonzalez bomb, or was it the Raquel bomb? It's one or the other.
One or the other, yeah.
For Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai to win their second NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. However, despite their reign lasting just slightly longer than the first one, they would lose the titles back to Toxic Attraction on Tuesday's episode of NXT.
Yes, making Toxic Attraction 2-time NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. What a waste of time that was.
The main card opened up with the Money in the Bank ladder match. Sorry, I mean a fatal 5-way ladder match
There you go.
for the NXT North American Championship.
As Carmelo Hayes defended his championship against Cesaro, Solo Suga, Grayson Waller, and Cameron Grimes.
Watching this, as we did at the same time,
We did, yes, which is a first in a while.
this was hard hitting, a lot of bumps left, right, and centre.
Yep.
We had what was essentially would have been a Jeff Hardy spot,
Essentially, yes.
diving off one ladder, going through another.
Courtesy of Grayson Waller.
After all of the carnage,
No, we don't mean the film Venom, let there be carnage.
in what was probably slightly predictable as to what was going to happen, Cameron Grimes manages to grab the North American Championship to become the new NXT North American Champion.
In what will be his first major championship since capturing the $1 Million Championship.
Yes, but does anyone really count the $1 Million Championship as a championship?
No, but if they don't, this will be Cameron Grimes' first major singles championship in WWE.
In what is very likely to be his final NXT match.
Tommaso Ciampa went one-on-one with Tony D'Angelo.
And what do we say about this?
I think we said something about, Ciampa coming out with on the right terms.
Yes, this was a interesting match. Starting out with the fact that Tommaso Ciampa would come out with a water bottle and pay homage to the entrance of this mastermind behind NXT, not you, Vince McMahon. But
Inspired Triple H.
and also he would do a Shawn Michaels pose in the ring.
And as the match got underway, obviously Tony D'Angelo had someone in his corner.
Well, heels tend to.
True. In what was a very hard-hitting 13-minute match.
And whilst for a brief moment we thought that Ciampa may pick up a victory here,
That was quickly dashed.
but also not overly surprising considering that most of the time NXT superstars lose their last match before being buried on the main roster.
Because the winner of this match was Tony D'Angelo. But something amazing would happen at the end of this match.
Yes,
As Ciampa was making his way up the ramp, we heard the King of Kings come out.
and Triple H would essentially hug Ciampa and salute him to the crowd in attendance.
Signaling Tommaso Ciampa, it is now your turn to get roasted on the main roster.
Next, we have a triple threat tag team match for the NXT Tag Team Championship, which has now seemed pointless. We'll get to that in a minute.
As the team of Imperium, in Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barth, defended the championships against MSK of Nash Carter and Wesley, and the Creed brothers of Brutus Creed and Julius Creed, who had Malcolm Bivens and Ivy Nile in their corner.
In this match, there was one person of each team legal at all times. Which makes it a little hard to keep up with.
It does.
And also makes it different from a traditional tag team match. More
It
like
does make a difference.
it is more like a 6-person triple threat almost.
Almost, yes.
But this was very similar to a triple threat match with near falls left, right, and center. Like types of submissions, double D moves.
Yeah.
But after 11 minutes and 22 seconds exactly, it would be MSK who would walk out of Stand and Deliver as 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions, at least for a couple of days.
Until events reared its ugly head on up to this recording last night with Wesley being let go from WWE.
Now, Nash Carter was the one released from WWE.
Yes, was let go due to some very vile reasons.
Claims of abuse from his wife. It's.
Kimberly.
Yeah, I get you don't really want someone associated with domestic abuse on your payroll, especially after an incident 15 odd years ago with Chris.
Yes. So quickly moving on. So as of now, the titles that we've heard have been made vacant.
Next, we go from a triple threat match to a fatal 4-way.
As Mandy Rose of Toxic Attraction defended the championship against Cora Jade, Kaylee Ray, and Io Shirai.
Would Toxic Attraction walk away from Stand and Deliver titleless?
And the answer to that is
Unfortunately not.
no.
Because despite a fairly typical fatal 4-way match, Mandy Rose managed to, as we predicted would happen, pretty much as it happened, just before it happened, took advantage of a big move from someone else to get the 3 count. Sometimes in these matches, it's all about being in the right place at the right time.
It is. Absolutely is.
Next, we had LA Knight taking on Walter.
I was going to say, don't mention the name. It sounds so bad. Now, this match was 10 minutes long.
Yes,
I'm a predictable result.
Predictable. I almost thought that they would possibly do a squash in this, but they turned into a fairly decent match. Not as back and forth as it probably should have been.
No.
But ultimately, it was the leader of Imperium who would come out victorious. Then we go on to the main event of Stand and Deliver.
As Dolph Ziggler put his NXT Championship against Von Breakker.
This was a fairly entertaining match. Of course, Ziggler had Rude in his corner, and Rude would play somewhat of a factor before being booted out by the referee. But really, just after kickouts of certain moves, there was one thing which happened midway through the match, in which in which we were screaming, "Ref, did you not see that?"
Oh yes, I remember this.
When Dolph Ziggler removed the
Right.
exposing the turnbuckle.
Which Dolph Ziggler would ultimately use to his advantage.
to help him retain the NXT Championship for all of 48 hours.
Because on this past episode of Monday Night Raw, Von Breakker would win back the championship.
Yes, so sometimes I question why do it on Raw when you could have done it here on an NXT show.
Again, this is Vince McMahon we're talking about.
So those were the matches and results of Stand and Deliver. We'll go through them one more time.
Starting off with the pre-show as Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez defeat Toxic Attraction to win the NXT Women's Tag Team titles, only to lose them on the next night of NXT.
Cameron Grimes defeated Carmelo Hayes, Santos Escobar, Silver Sky, and Grayson Waller to become to become the NXT North American champion in a 5-way ladder match.
There we go. Tony D'Angelo defeated Martin Ciampa 1-on-1.
MSK defeated Imperium and the Creed Brothers to become the NXT Tag Team Champions, only to have the titles vacated when one member was released.
Mandy Rose retained her NXT Women's Championship by defeating Cora Jade, Katie Ray, and Io Shirai.
Gunther Walter defeated LA Knight.
And Dolph Ziggler defeated Von Breakker to retain his NXT Championship, only to lose it on the next episode of Monday Night Raw to Von Breakker.
Now, we shall take a quick pause so that most in attendance at the American Airlines Center can make their way over to AT&T Stadium.
Recommend you do that now.
Yeah, let's go. I got a vision I see in my head, a melody buried deep into my soul. They call us crazy, we cutting the edge, unlocking the future and letting it go. This is a calling that's higher the time we decided our stories are gonna be told. This is where legends are born, we paving the road, a future that favors the bold. Break the rules, break the laws, this is the moment we change it all. Break the rules, break the laws, this is the moment we change it all. Yeah, greatness, yeah, it feels like greatness. Woo! Greatness, yeah, it feels like greatness. Legendary in the making. Reach out and we take it. About to emerge, we on the verge, and it feels like greatness. Something coming, I can feel it. Deep down in my spirit. Revolution, it's a new day. Time to redefine the limits. So vivid, I can see it. So loud, I can hear it. So they calling me a madman, but the future belongs to the fearless. Break the rules, break the laws. This is the moment we change it all. Break the rules, break the laws. This is the moment we change it all. Yeah, greatness. Yeah, it feels like greatness. Woo! Greatness. Yeah, it feels like greatness. Legendary in the making. Reach out and we take it. About to emerge, we on the verge, and it feels like greatness. Greatness. Yeah, it feels like greatness. Woo! Greatness. Yeah, it feels like greatness. Legendary in the making. Reach out and we take it. About to emerge, we on the verge, and it feels like greatness. This is the truth, into the light. Taking our dreams and we bring them to life. This is the truth, into the light. Taking our dreams and we bring them to life. Yeah, greatness. Yeah, it feels like greatness. Woo! Greatness. Yeah, it feels like greatness. Legendary in the making. Reach out and we take it. About to emerge, we on the verge, and it feels like greatness. We about to set the tone, we about to write the code. Yeah, we ready to go. Yeah. We on a new elevation, we came here to shatter the mold. We gon' shatter the mold. Yeah. We about to set the tone, we about to write the code. Yeah, we ready to go. Yeah. We on a new elevation, we came here to shatter the mold. Yeah. I know you hear it, I know you see it. We are the fearless, we are the genius, we are defiance, we are the beacons, we are the true believers. Yeah. Greatness, yeah, it feels like greatness. Woo! Greatness, yeah, it feels like greatness.
We're lucky to have got this far, and that it's not worth fighting for. The words are written on the wall. Come on and fight back, no starting over again. We'll take it right back from the ones where again it's time to rise up, even though they left us for dead. This is our last stand. Take a chance now and draw a line in the sand. It's in our hands now, no living with regret. It's time to rise up, even though they left us for dead. This is our last stand. This is our last stand.
And now, Snickers presents the greatest live event in entertainment. WrestleMania.
And welcome back to part 2 of this combination show with the show of shows.
Named as one of the most stupendous two-night events in WrestleMania history, welcome to WrestleMania 38.
This came at us from AT&T Stadium.
Where in night 1 we had 77,899,000 of the WWE Universe from around the world in main cities.
Night 2 would feature an attendance of 78,453.
Bringing the combined disputed total of up to 156,352.
So, night 1, where do we start?
Where do we start?
Well, night 1 kicked off with the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match when the Usos defended against Shinsuke Nakamura and Nick Brooks. Unfortunately, this match also plays host to some bad news.
Yes, regarding a certain Rick Books.
Yes, during this match, Rick Brooks had one member of the Usos on his shoulders, and his knee gave in,
Effectively blowing his knee out.
in which he suffered a torn quadricep injury that will require surgery.
So due to this match, they had to change the finish to this match on the fly.
We don't know whether they did for definite, but it's pretty safe to say that they had to change this match on the fly due to Brooks being out of it. I still maintain my belief that the overall result would probably have been the same, and that is the Usos retaining.
So we will, all of us on the Wrestling Talk Show, would like to send our well wishes to Rick Books.
The second match on the card. Oh, by the way, we should point out, and I probably should have said this off the card. There is a well-known saying with these pay-per-views: card subject to change.
Yes.
One match which was initially slated to take place on night 1 was bumped to night 2.
And that match was going to be the Sheamus, Rich Holland and New Day match.
As for going back to where we were, the second match was a match between Happy Corbin and Drew McIntyre.
Let's just cut the long story short.
Yes, despite it being a decent match, we all knew where this was going to go.
We did, with Drew McIntyre picking up the win.
The next
But
match,
that's not really the only talking point, though, because Madcap Moss were trying to attack McIntyre from the match.
only to be stopped
McIntyre
by
got
Angela.
Angela, and then sliced the top 2 ropes off the ring.
Which would be repaired in time for the next match. No, the next match was the tag team match between the Mysterios, The Miz, and Logan Paul.
Now, we said this before about celebrities wrestling, but did Logan Paul take wrestling lessons off of Bad Bunny?
Well, so with this, I think, with celebrity involvement, you can tell sometimes the ones who are there just to get a paycheck or something, and the ones who take it seriously.
And we think Logan Paul was the one to take it seriously.
Yes, this was a typical tag team match. Logan Paul must have been taking lessons from possibly Sasha Banks, with hitting the Three Amigos,
Yes.
and even a frog splash. Towards the end of the match, we had Logan Paul set up for a double 619.
The 218.
Only for the Miz to tag himself in and get the pin for
Body
it,
slap Rey Mysterio on top of Dominic.
which would lead to the ultimate end.
But that would not be the only talking point of the match.
Yes, because after the match, The Miz would hit a skull crushing finale on Logan Paul.
Effectively breaking up the team.
Yes. Next, we went to long-term booking.
Yes, and when done correctly, oh boy.
Now, we all know what happened last year's WrestleMania. Bianca Belair would win the SmackDown Women's Championship. And at SummerSlam, would be squashed by Becky Lynch in 26 seconds.
Something like that, yes.
Then we ultimately, after taking a break from each other for a while, they had a rematch, took a break from each other. Bianca didn't quite win the Royal Rumble match, but would win the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia to decide who was going to have a Raw Women's Championship match. Now, this match started with a handshake, with a attempted handshake from Bianca Belair, almost like happened at SummerSlam. She was then nailed again. Lynch will attempt the rock bottom.
That's your copyright.
Counted into an attempted KOD, then hit with a quick rock bottom. Belair kicked out this time, but isn't going to work this time, Lynch. And in a similar situation, Lynch was then hit with a KOD, kick out. And this match went back and forth. I would arguably say that possibly Vince dominated the majority of it.
I would agree.
However, after hitting a manhandle slam on the stairs to attempt to get a count out, but Blair would manage to get back into the ring in the last second. Then, at the end of this round, there was a trading counters back and forth. Blair managed to hit the KOD and win the Raw Women's Championship, joining a very elite group of Stone Cold, The Undertaker, and John Cena, who have won world titles at back-to-back WrestleManias.
Now we head over to our next match, which is Seth Rollins against the handpicked Vince McMahon opponent.
Yes, well, the rumor was out there. This was possibly wrestling's worst kept secret.
Because of the age of the internet.
Yes. But Seth is in the ring. They play the lights go out. Some people think the Undertaker. Some people may think the Fiend. But ultimately, this is what went off.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Adrenaline in my soul, every fight out of control. Do it all to get them off their feet. Crowd is here, about to blow, waiting for me to start the show. Out the curtain, lights go up, I'm home. Whoa, my father.
The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, returns to WWE for the first time in 6 years.
6-7 years.
And funnily enough, his last WrestleMania was in that building, under the name of Stardust.
Which he has said to not be mentioned ever again.
Now, this was a 20-minute slobber knocker of a match.
It was, absolutely. But in ultimate terms, the winner of the match, after 5 finishing moves hit by Cody.
Now let's look at what happened. I was at the end. See, the end sequence was what? 2 crossroads.
Yeah.
Then we had a bit of Dusty Rhodes with a bionic elbow.
Yes, nice little tribute.
Then we went back to a 3rd crossroads to get the 1, 2, 3.
And Cody Rhodes wins on his return match back to WWE.
Now the next match was the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Charlotte Flair and the Royal Rumble winner, Ronda Rousey.
Match 18 minutes in length.
Yes. Overall, while some people may complain about the outcome, good match. Spots including arm drags, of course, after Ronda Rousey. Yeah, then armbar, ankle lock. Flair managed to get out of it. Rousey hit a Piper's Pit got a 3 count, however, referee Charles Robinson called it off because Charles Flair was on the rope. Flair would then lock in a figure 8, or actually, before that,
The referee was knocked out.
I was going to say before that, whilst Rousey was arguing about the count being broken off, Charles would come with a natural selection.
Out of nowhere. And hey, that's my stick.
Then we would get the figure of 8, which was counted into a referee spot. Rousey manages to get Charlotte into the armbar. Charlotte's tapping, but the referee is down. So whilst Rousey is trying to get the referee to come to, Flair comes running in with a big boot. 1, 2, 3. Flair is still, at the moment, SmackDown Women's Champion, but I still say that Rousey will get the title.
Yes. And then we move on to what we thought was going to be the Kevin Owens show.
Yes. Kevin Owens show featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin.
So Austin comes down, and still Kevin Owens continues to bash not only Stone Cold, which is a big mistake, and the state of Texas.
So Kevin Owens basically says that this was a trap to lure Stone Cold out, and he wants to fight. So then we get an impromptu no holds barred match.
And it goes to prove in this match that Stone Cold can still go at 57 years of age.
Yes, because in I won't necessarily call it a match, but a fight spread 13 minutes. Stone Cold was victorious and
So
ending
he took
WrestleMania.
those of Steve Austin to celebrate and stun Kevin Owens again.
Before stunning Brian Saxton.
Again. Not the first episode because he did that 316 day.
Yeah, so that was WrestleMania Night 1. Join us momentarily where we will go through the results again and then go into Night 2. We will be right back.